Hey y'all, I'm McCormack. Today I'm going to be talking about some common myths about sexual assault brought up to a victim and how to respond properly, not inappropriately, like most people do when talking about sexual assault, especially to a victim. So I found a couple sources. I found a website that talks about common myths and then a possible response to reply to these myths. So basically, false reports is a big one. People say, you're lying, you're exaggerating the story, especially with athletes. I remember there's one at my school when I was in like middle school, lower school, and he was a really good athlete, got accused of it. And everyone said, that's not true. Like, he's a good athlete, but turns out he was indeed sexually assaulting her. And that's my point is a lot of people tend to jump to conclusions if it's their favorite athlete, especially famous people, and say, no, that's not true, that's not true, when in reality it is. And so we all need to do a better job. I remember, there's so many famous athletes that get off of stuff like this, because they have fame and money, when in reality they are committing sexual assault to victims. And it'll come out, 30 years down the road when they're retired and etc. So that's definitely one. False reports, people accusing people of lying. Another one is what were you wearing? What were you up to? So, people will say if they're dressing that way, they're asking for it, which makes absolutely no sense at all. And really just comes to show, how evil people can be towards victims, and how that really needs to change. Another one, like I said, was what were you doing? So why were you at that party or nightclub, at 3 a.m., 4 a.m., which makes, again, no sense because if you're having fun with your friends, you should be able to walk freely and live life and not live in fear of being sexually assaulted. So people that ask that is just extremely inappropriate. And your clothing, etc., should not in any way determine, oh, that makes you more prone to be sexually assaulted. It doesn't make sense. Another one is, drinking alcohol. Like, were you drunk? Like, you may have consented to, you don't even know. And again, if someone's out of their mind drunk and they're sexually assaulted and you're going to bring that up, like, oh, you were drunk, it was your fault. So they don't get to just have a good time. They have to live in fear every time they drink alcohol, which again makes no sense. So I found a women's center that basically showed an exhibit of different clothing of victims when sexually assaulted. So it's very disturbing, but it's, further helps prove what I'm saying. So basically a 6, 7 year old, I'm looking at, what it has the clothing laid out, just wearing long sleeves, a long skirt over the knees. Another one, long hoodie, long black sweatpants, baggy sweatpants. Again, the what were you wearing question makes no sense. Looking at this other one, pajama pants, baggy pajama pants, and the long sleeve black shirt. Again, the list goes on. It's just like long skirts, jeans, And so it comes to show, there's even a guy who's wearing a long flannel shirt and baggy jeans. Like, that comes to show that, clothing has no, say in who determines, who's going to rape. Like, that doesn't make sense. So, that myth needs to be destroyed and never brought up around victims because that can cause more trauma and more pain and anxiety to them. And to touch back on the alcohol one, like I said, people ask, were you drunk? So I found a study done And they basically did a study on within a year, those who were sexually assaulted under the influence and those who were not under the influence. And they found no significant difference between the two. Like, there wasn't like there was way more people that were drunk that were sexually assaulted, or way more, sober people. It just comes to show that people in this world are evil and commit horrible actions like sexual assault. Alcohol has nothing to do with it. And that's a big myth that even, I hear all the time, especially with old people. You were asking for, you were drinking. That makes no sense. Like, you should be able to have a good time with your friends, and not worry about that. So really, that's it. That's kind of the big myths, surrounding sexual assault. And through that, people just need to learn how to be more understanding and compassionate towards victims, not, question or, even bring up trauma. Really just be a light for them. And, if they want to talk about it, then, listen. But, definitely not questioning them and bringing up points that, make no sense.